Welcome to Pound for Pound ATL, arguably the best place to get facts and opinions on your Atlanta Falcons. And absolutely the best place to get your opinions in. The guys are here, the chat is ready, and the conversation starts now.
What's going on, football fans? It's your boys back again with a live rendition of the Pound for Pound ATL. And
Yes,
man,
sir.
how about them Braves last night? I know this is, the Falcons, show, Falcons podcast kind of deal. We focus on the Falcons, but man, come on, that was awesome last night to pull it out and come home with that championship trophy and do it in a dominating fashion.
Yes.
That was the part that I was very happy about. There wasn't any there wasn't any nail biting, so to speak. You didn't have to rely on any kind of fluke, anything like that. It was just dominant pitching, dominant defense, and just dominated all the way through. And that was such a refreshing thing, especially for a fan base that has had to live through some of the things that we've had to live through with some other, sports or other, franchises, to come away with, 2 championships in the past 4 years.
Yeah.
With I don't know what anybody's feelings on the MLS is, but you won a championship there, and
It counts,
right? That's and it counts because that's a very loyal fan base.
Yeah, and it's a major league sport, so
right. Exactly.
It's going to count.
Right, and then so now you have you had the Hawks that were very close to going to the finals last year, and returned the vast majority of their squad, if I'm not mistaken. Locked up a lot of their young guys with Herter and Collins and Trae Young. So that's something that you have looked forward to going along, and staying on the Braves there for a little bit. At the All-Star break, they were 1 game below 500.
Yeah,
they had lost their best player in Ronald Acuna. Their supposed ace pitcher Soroka. I don't even think he started the season. If my memory serves right, he got hurt before
he got hurt. Yeah,
he got hurt before the season he really even started. And when Acuna went down, I was like, well, okay, well there goes that. There goes the season, so to speak. But every time I'd look in to the looking on the score or check the game or whatever, it was another win. And come October, you check the standings and you're like, okay, we're not far out, or, we're leading. And then you end up winning, the NL East, and you end up in the World Series, against what everybody thought.
Yeah.
And it was it was an amazing feat in that aspect. And, I'll admit to anybody, I don't follow the Braves like I follow the Falcons. I'll watch a game here or there. I'll keep up with them on the scoreboard, so to speak. But I don't follow the nuts and bolts and the details of it. Like I do with the Falcons. And I was talking to some of the guys at work. I was like, all right, how do we match up against Houston? I know we got this guy and this guy, but I don't know how we compare to the Houston. And one of the guys says, well, Houston's got a really good offense. And it's going to be, kind of a tough series. And then we jumped out of that 3-1 lead, series-wise. And I was like, man, we could finish this here in Atlanta. Obviously we didn't, but to cement it in Game 6 was awesome. And hats off to Alex Anthopoulos. And I promise y'all I'm bringing this back to the, tying this all in. But hats off to Alex Anthopoulos, because the MVPs of all 3 series were guys that they made trades for.
Yes.
Rosario and
Soler
and
Jocktober.
And Jocktober, right. All those guys.
You really can't forget about Adam Duvall, even though he didn't win one of the awards that the other 3 won. Adam Duvall coming back to the Braves was a refreshing moment for us. And we've been hard on Adam Duvall. Many other fans know we've been hard on him. And to come back refreshed like he was and to hit the amount of home runs, because we know, man, when he hits them home runs, man, he has that year. It's just, he just having to have that year at the moment. We are on the surge of getting to a World Series and winning that thing. And we did.
Yeah, it was really awesome in a sense. Like, I think I saw something that was the first time that a sub 500 team at the All-Star break had won the World Series since like the 30s or something like that.
Yeah, it was a long. It was a long time.
Right.
I do
so
that. I don't remember that year.
I'm glad to be on that side of history for a change.
Yeah.
You know, so that was really cool, and hats off to the Braves for doing that. And you know, my wife's super excited because she teaches in Cobb County and they got the day off on Friday.
Yeah.
So yeah, she was pumped about that, obviously, but just pumped about, you know, hopefully in a way like maybe starting to change the perception of, you know, of this town and, you know, of the sports, and seeing the way Anthopoulos rebuilt the Braves and seeing the way Travis Schlenk has rebuilt the Hawks, gives me hope for how, you know, Fontenot could potentially rebuild the Falcons. I know they, you know, wanted to talk about this, not a rebuild or nothing like that. You ain't got no choice at this point. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know, you really ain't got no choice. This is a rebuild. Whether you felt like you could compete, and I'm sure at the beginning of the offseason they felt like they could compete, but reality has to have snuck up on them. Now, you know, in the first 7 games of the season, you know, our first 7 games, and, you know, you're at a sub 500 record. Your number 1 wide receiver just walked away from the game for you don't know how long.
Right.
You know, you might as well say indefinitely. You have to plan for it to be indefinitely.
Yeah.
You know, you have to plan for that, and I definitely am not going to sit here and try to make light of, you know, mental health or anything of that nature. You know, if he stepped away for the London game and tried to come back and just wasn't having it or wasn't jiving or whatever, then he definitely needs to step away, like completely, before he does end up, you know, getting hurt. You know, if it
which he almost did.
Right.
Them Dolphins tried to take him out, buddy.
Right.
Javon Holland and they tried to really take him out of the game.
Exactly. And so if that's messing with him, if, you know, that concept's messing with him, if the idea that, you know, what he's seeing on social media, what people saying about him, if that's messing with him, then yeah, dude, you need to step away before you do end up getting hurt. Because that's the last thing I want to see anybody do is like get seriously injured. And I'll go ahead and call it. If we say, like, you know, if right now, if your heart's not in it, then no, man, I don't want you out there. And it's not a negative don't want you out there. I don't want you out there getting hurt. You know, so, but I do honestly believe that being a game time decision, you know, I think that messed up their game plan. You know, they can act like they didn't or act like it didn't, but you know, Matt Ryan likened it to, you know, somebody being a game time decision and then deciding not to play. Well, you wasn't going in with him being a game time decision. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You were going in with, you know, facing a team that you felt like the types of coverages they ran that you could actually probably exploit it with Calvin Ridley.
Right.
And
if you look at Calvin Ridley's numbers against teams in the NFC South, he's rude, especially New Orleans and the Carolina Panthers. So you definitely were excited about that possible matchup between him and that Carolina defense because he has dominated most of the time against those teams. So, you know, hey.
Right, exactly. And so to get that news that morning, you know, it definitely threw a wrench in the situations. You would almost be foolish to think that it didn't.
Yeah.
And like it showed in a sense of not being able to get into any kind of rhythm, whatsoever. You had, time of possession was 24 minutes for the whole game.
Yeah.
You ran 50 plays. You were 3 for 10 on third downs.
Yeah.
Like this tells you that you weren't able to get into any kind of rhythm. You come up like all the progress that you felt like the offensive line made, like from the Jets game or from the Giants game on, like came crumbling down. You weren't able. Matt Ryan wasn't able to get any kind of rhythm going. Like pressure was on him like pretty much the entire game.
Yeah.
Like then you add on top of that his hands get stepped on. And it gets super bloody. That can't be comfortable. So, yeah, I mean, it was just an all-around bad game, which at this point you knew we were going to have.
Yeah, they got dominated on the inside. I mean, that was no secret. That interior line, boy, they got hit hard with them inside stunts that Carolina Panthers was running up there. They had no answer for it. And I knew when I saw that. Now I've seen Matt Ryan get rocked by offensive lines before, but they were able to put it together and find a way to win. I.e. the Carolina game in 2012 when he got sacked 7 times when Charles Johnson was here. But we found a way to come back and win that game, i.e. Arizona game in 2012. He got rocked. He got intercepted 5 times in that game, but they found a way to come back and win. Unfortunately, this was a situation where you got a defense can't get off the field. The Falcons, that is, on third down. You're giving up 10 for 17 on third downs to this Carolina Panthers team who did their best. And I got to admit, I'm impressed with the game plan they had to hide Sam Darnold's deficiencies coming into this game by running that ball 47 times in the game for 202 yards or so. That's a lot of yards. In the last 2 games, we've been ran on so bad. The Miami Dolphins wasn't even running the ball well. But they found a way to run it on us, and Carolina followed the blueprint and wore us out.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. I mean, you had, Sam Darnold, picking up 66 yards on 8 attempts. I mean, you had Chuba Hubbard, 82 yards. Amir Abdullah out of nowhere for 31 yards, which is kind of crazy, and then Royce Freeman. I mean, it was just they couldn't. The part that is frustrating in that sense is, yes, you didn't give up a ton of points. Like, you only gave up 19 points.
Right.
But, like you said, you can't get off the field. That's a huge issue. You're not, giving your offense, the time to get into a rhythm. The offense didn't get into any kind of, any kind of rhythm whatsoever. And, the fact that it was just, like I said, it looked a lot like the Philly game, and it just goes to highlight the lack of depth that you have. And, you felt like early on you could withstand certain things, such as, losing Jones, because you felt like Ridley was going to step up.
Right.
Unfortunately, Ridley hasn't stepped up. If it's a thing where he's just buckled under the pressure of being number one, when all the things that go with it, the amount of attention on and off the field that go with it, like, if that's what has buckled, then, you hope he can, get over that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like as of right now, essentially you're relying on Kyle Pitts to be your number one.
Yeah.
And that's tough for any rookie. I don't care who they are. Like, he's a rookie. He's going to have games where he goes off, and he's going to have games where he disappears right now as he's still trying to figure out how to deal with whatever defenses are doing to him. There's things that he hasn't seen on a professional level. You know what I'm saying? Because he just hasn't experienced it yet. So the part that is still like ultimately frustrating to me is, our run game and the lack thereof.
Anemic. It's
Yeah.
anemic.
I mean, you
Yeah.
had, 9 carries, or you had a total of 18 carries for both Patterson and, Davis. So they were tied. Davis ran a little bit better than Patterson at,
Yeah.
at 4.9 yards a clip.
And of course he would. This is his team that he's playing against. You saw him and what's the name was Shaq Thompson was
Mm-hmm.
getting very chippy
Right.
in that game, So he definitely wanted to beat his old team and run well against them. So of course that's his motivation for
Right.
doing so.
Exactly. I mean, but regardless, like, the run game hasn't produced the way I was hoping it was going to. Now you can lay, like, the offensive woes, you can lay a lot of it at the feet of the offensive line. With the amount of, Ryan gets sacked twice, and it seems like right now, at least this season, how the offensive line goes is how the offense is going to go.
Right.
If they're getting beat up early and pushed around early, then there's probably a chance that it's not going to be a very good game, especially when you don't have, like, you're extremely, like, you're paper thin, and your number 2 wide receiver didn't even get a target. Like, what's going on with Gage?
Yeah. What ain't going?
Right. Like, so your leading receiver from this game was Tajay Sharp.
And he looked good. I mean,
Right.
I got to admit, he looked good in the role that he was in. He was asked to do a little bit more because nobody else could get going.
Right.
They shut Kyle Pitts down.
Yeah. Exactly. And they're saying in the chat, hope Matt doesn't get Kyle Pitts hurt forcing the ball because he's squeezing it into some tight spaces. He ain't got no choice but to squeeze it into tight spaces. Like,
Squeeze them limits then.
Right. I don't like, that's so funny because, we were, not just us, but national broadcasters were praising Ryan a couple weeks ago for the tight windows that he was throwing into.
Yeah.
Oh, now he's going to get somebody hurt because he's squeezing them in there? Come on, man. I love you, King, but you got to be a little better than that, dog. That's what you brought Kyle Pitts in here to be.
King 7.
I know, right? King 7's my dude,
Yes, sir.
But yeah,
tell it like it is. I got you.
Yeah, no, shoot, he don't hold back, and I love it.
Back.
But yeah, but that's what you brought, Kyle Pitts in here to do. That's what tight ends do, is catch those tough passes, those contested passes. Again, it makes me real confused about how we're using Hayden Hurst. I really thought that we were going to be able to bring that dual tight end reception game, back, and make it a weapon. And 2 receptions for 4 yards. Like,
yeah, look, man. Remember when we found out about Ridley the first time? That was during the time right before game plan week, so they were able to actually game plan that. All 3 of their tight ends had 189 yards and 2 touchdowns.
True.
Now, you bring Ridley back into the equation. Now you're trying to get Ridley going because he's your number 1 in Kyle Pitts. I think in a way this might be a blessing in disguise because they can finally know who they are as an offense without Calvin Ridley in there for this year anyway.
Yeah, and you might be right, and it may finally force their hand enough to give, like, a guy like a Frank Darby, who's a little bit bigger body receiver, some burn, because that's definitely an aspect that we're missing right now. A lot of our wide receivers present the same type of skill set.
Yeah.
And
they brought Marvin Hall back, so I don't know if Darby's going to get any burn this year.
Well, Marvin Hall right now is sitting on the practice squad. I made that snarky joke on Twitter, wide receiver 1 in the building, but because I was like, yeah, that's what we need, a Marvin Hall, Good Lord. Some of, like, I get it. Some of the moves that we have been making so far this offseason, or not this offseason, but necessarily during the season, like, have somewhat confused me. Like, if you're not planning on, like, if you're the front office and you don't see that you're going to be able to re-sign Hayden Hurst, and you're going to throw to him twice, or I don't know how many, like, he's only going to get to, why ain't you trade him to somebody? You know, even if it was for a 6th-round pick, at least it's better than letting him walk. I mean, if you think you're going to get, I guess you're trying to play the compensatory pick game, maybe. You know, knowing that you ain't going to sign nobody, I guess, in the off, but you're going to have to sign somebody. You only got 29 players under contract next year.
Hey.
So you're going to have to sign somebody. So if you sign anybody on a, you know, Cordell Patterson level, like, contract, that'll pretty much negate Hayden Hurst leaving.
Yeah.
You know, depending on, not 100% sure, depending on how the compensatory, like, formula works, but yeah, it's interesting to see how the rest of the season is going to pan out, because this was a pivotal game.
Well, we know how it's gonna pan out. No trades at trade deadline. What you see is what you get, just like that song said. So we're gonna have to be behind this team, because that's what you're gonna get all year. Lord forbid any more injuries should happen to us. You're gonna continue borrowing off your practice squad.
I guess.
I'm sorry to laugh, fans. I'm sorry to laugh. But if the practice squad is all you got, like this farm system that you're so-called trying to build over there, with this practice squad, then we might have some serious problems, because you keep bringing these guys off practice squad and you put them back on the practice squad. Bring them off practice squad. Put them back on practice squad. I mean, come on, dog.
You talking about old Ryan Nazile or whatever his name is.
Yeah, Bates and
Vaunters. Vaunters. Like, those guys, like, I hope they ain't buying a house here in Atlanta. I hope they renting. I wonder if they had an extended stay motel kind of thing. Good Lord.
They better stay at the Hyatt, because that's, look, Doc, you don't know if you're gonna be on the practice squad, off the practice squad.
I think there's a hotel right down from Flowery Branch. I think I've seen it. Maybe that's where they're staying at.
Just stay there, Doc.
That's the opening salvo. So let's jump into chat and see what everybody's doing there. Joseph Thornton says, "What's up, pound for pound?
What's going on?
What will it take to get this team back on track? Go Braves!" A new track to be laid at this point. I don't know, dude. Like, I feel so goofy because of how much optimism we had in the off season, and like seeing how this team could be deployed, and if things go the right way, and ain't none of that happened. Things ain't went the right way. They ain't deploying players like we thought they were going to deploy them, and so yeah, it's just been a frustrating season, and a whole different reasons for it to be frustrated.
Let me ask you this, man.
What's up, Bo?
Because Mike Smith did this when he came here, and yeah, I'm bringing up Mike Smith. You know, guys don't know your defense. What did he do? Brought guys over here from Jacksonville that knew his defense. So if you know they don't know your defense, why you don't go out here and get guys? And I think Kenny Vaccaro is still out there, right? Is still out there?
I guess. See, that was one of my. Do you not remember, like, all during the offseason, I kept looking for signings like that.
Yeah.
Like Kenny Vaccaro, like what was Jarrell Casey.
Yeah.
I kept looking for those kind of signings, and it never happened.
Right.
It never transpired. The closest you got is Vaunters has played for Dean Pease, and you have some more like Chicago type holdovers. Like Copeland played for the outside linebackers coach Bush.
Right.
But that's not Dean Pease.
Right.
That's not Dean Pease's system. Like, yes, I get it. Your position coach you might be familiar with. But the scheme itself, you don't have. And it seems like, I mean, we're 7 weeks in and still trying to learn the scheme, so to speak.
Now, the positive part is they're getting turnovers. The last 3 games, they've gotten at least one turnover, which they weren't getting a lot of that at the beginning of the season. So that is the positive part, that they start to understand a little bit by getting in the right position to get the turnovers. That fumble at the beginning, although we couldn't take advantage of it from an offensive standpoint, that was big time to start the game off by their defense.
And they're starting to understand where they're supposed to be in a sense and come with some ferocity.
Right.
Like
right.
you've seen the Eric Harris hit and the Fourier hit.
Right.
You know, like you do that when you're confident at what you're doing. Like your speed increases with your confidence. So I take that as positive signs. And I'm not going to sit here and try to discredit the fact that they only gave up 19 points.
Right.
That's got to be like the second lowest point total. Like you gave up 14 to the Jets. Or not Jets, the Giants.
But your offense couldn't score.
Right. Your offense, again, your offense couldn't score. They scored enough in that game. But anyway. But look, this has been a strange year in the NFL anyway.
Yeah.
You got the Chiefs that, like, and Patrick Mahomes looking absolutely vulnerable. And, right. Like, I mean, Pat Mahomes is looking like a rookie almost.
Yeah,
you know,
a deer in the headlights.
Right. And then you saw like a little bit of a back-to-earth moment with Arizona and that backyard play kind of faltering against Green Bay. Who was it? It was the Giants who we beat. Gave Kansas City all they could handle.
Mm-hmm. And the Jets tried to give Cincinnati all they can handle.
They beat Cincinnati, didn't they?
I think.
Because Mike White.
Yeah, Mike White. Yep.
Beat Cincinnati, and they looked great. So this has been a goofy season anyway. So I'm just really interested to see how it ends up. But Woon Carter has joined us. What's going on, Woon? Says, rise up, pound for pound family. Congratulations to the Braves. Saints, Cowboys, and Patriots over the next 3 games. Yeah, it ain't. Right. Follow that up with Speed Falcon for Life says, Falcons could be 3-7 heading into the Jags game. Very well could be.
Very well.
But, again, wonky game. You lose Jameis Winston and the Saints beat the Bucks.
Mm-hmm. You know why?
So,
say all you want about Peyton Manning, Sean Payton, man. Sean Payton, him and that staff know how to coach.
Oh, yeah.
How to coach, man. They know how to develop players.
Right. Let's see. Antonio Holloway says, we have a title in the ATL. Yes, we do.
Yes, sir.
Let's see. Curtis Robertson says, World Series champs only got hot at the right time. Fred Buzz says, JR, did you check the standings? The season is far from over. I get it, Fred. I understand. We are not mathematically out of anything. But as we have been saying for the past few weeks, until we start seeing some consistency, I can't guarantee, no, we're out of it. I mean, I'm looking at the level of talent that we have right now, and it just is not on par. I don't know how else to say it. Like, you have Matt Ryan, Kyle Pitts, Grady Jarrett, and that's about it.
And A.J. Terrell.
I forget, How can I forget about A.J. Terrell? One of the only other bright spots on the defense. So, I mean, I hate to say it like that, but until we can see some consistency, we're out of it. We're unfortunately now we're just going to be like charting draft picks. As in, I hate to even be talking about that. I try not to.
We might need to go ahead and start.
Look, can we go ahead and get the Jordan Davis train rolling? I guess.
Oh man, I mean, look, man. I mean, like Fred Bush said, we aren't officially out of it.
No,
there's still 10 more games to go, but you got to figure out how to win at least 2 of these games in these next 4 game stretch, because otherwise, you drop at least 3 out of them 4 that we got coming up. You might as well call it.
Yep.
You got to figure out how to beat the Saints. You got to figure out how to beat them.
Yeah, and if you drop the Saints, there's it's getting the light that was bright is starting to dim and dim and dim, and is it still shining? Yes, it's still shining, but it's just your margin of error is getting smaller and smaller with every game. With every game you lose, your margin of error is getting smaller and smaller. So, Joseph Thornton says, let's sign a petition to keep Means and Davidson out. That's the part that, at this junction, why do we keep trotting these guys out there? Okay, fine, I understand. Dean Pease has forgotten more about defense than I will ever know. I get it. completely understand that. I am not trying to question his scheme. I'm questioning some of the methods, so to speak. Like, why are we still trotting out Steven Means? Like, why are we still trotting out? Like, you went out and, like you're talking about the practice squad farm system. You went out and signed Mike Pennell. You went out and signed Anthony Rush. These bigger body defensive tackles. And they can't get no play. Like, why? Why did you sign them then? Like, I don't understand, right? Like Dante Fowler went down, who you can really see the effects because now people are able to get the edge a lot easier in the run game. So why aren't you like trying something different other than Steven Means? He's not effective out there. So why aren't we trying like John Kaminsky? Why aren't we trying Mikael Walker? You know, these are the confusing questions.
I tell you what, man. 2012, we gave up the run more than a little bit, but you know what balanced that out? We got turnovers.
Right.
We got turnovers, and that balanced out the fact that we was giving up runs, a lot of runs, and a lot of yards in the run game because we got those turnovers. We're getting those turnovers in sprinkle sense
right
now. It's not raining yet.
No, it's not. Like I said, I'm going to be extremely curious to see what it looks like by the end of the season.
Yeah.
You know, because at this junction, you know, in my mind, it's more of, okay, can we just make improvements week in and week out kind of deal is what I'm looking for. And you're going to have some hiccups along the way, right? Now, to be completely honest with you, I'm not really even all that upset that we lost, if that makes any sense.
Oh, I'm not either. I'm not, no.
You know, because I just, for right now, I don't feel like we got the horses. So I'm just trying to see the scheme come along. Kenyon Mitchell says the defense is our Achilles heel. No receiving threat besides Pitts, and the front office lying about a rebuild. Realistically, the next 3 games, the Falcons will be 3-7. More than likely. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but that's, and I don't, okay, I was on a space chat the other day messing with our good friend from up north, Adam Holloway. And because he was talking about, these fans who were optimistic, and I was messing with him. I said, Adam, why don't you just call me out, dog? You know, why don't you just say my name? You know, that, because, you know, about being optimistic early on. And, like, I'm not even mad, honestly, that they talked about a rebuild or wouldn't talk about a rebuild. Because I look at it like this. At the end of the day, when they're in front of a camera, they're also trying to sell a team or sell a product, okay? Mm-hmm. Too many times we forget about the business end of this game, okay? And you're coming off of 3 bad seasons. Ain't nobody in their right mind, coach, GM, nobody, players, gonna stand there and tell you, all right, fellas, I'm gonna go ahead and call it. Y'all might as well stay at home this year. It's going to be absolute doo-doo. We might have some good games here or there, but for the most part, it's going to be absolute trash. Ain't nobody doing that because, you know, they're trying to make money as well. Yeah. It's not necessary. I don't consider it to be lying in a sense. I just consider it being almost like coach speak, or what I call coach speak. Like, it doesn't benefit them to say, you know, if they were being realistic, they're going to say, hey, look, if things go the right way, we could get on a run. But, you know, we're going to do the best we can with what we got. Yeah. Like, nobody's going to say that. That's what you want them to say. But ain't nobody going to say that.
Well, they don't have to say it now because we know.
Yeah. Like there ain't, there ain't no.
No trades now.
Right. No, right. Like, you know, Assassins over here says we should have made a trade for Miles Sanders or Marlon Mack or tried to pick up John Brown. Right. Those are the things that if you were truly serious about competing, you would have done. Yes. I think Fontenot looked at it and said, what I need to do is get like cap space, more or less. So he ain't bringing nobody on.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be really interested to see what they do with Ryan's contract, because I can't see them eating a $42 million cap hit.
Listen, I don't know if they're going. I think Matt's still going to be here one more year. You know,
I'm not saying
that. I'll around with that.
I actually think that myself. I think that they're going to extend it. Is what I think. And put dummy years on there. to where they can spread it out.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like I think something like that's why I say I'm really interested. I'm really interested to see what they end up doing, because you're not going to go into a right now. Next year, Matt Ryan counts for $42 million of cap. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Like you can't. Let's see. We're gonna keep on rolling here. Assassin also says Marvin Hall is a speed receiver and he could take the top off the defense if used right. Sure, he could take the top off, but if Ryan can't stand there, what does it matter?
Oh.
If Ryan can't stand upright to throw the ball, don't matter how fast he is.
Yeah.
Fred Butt says we're all just negative. Okay, cool, man. If that's like, I feel like we're probably one of the most optimistic shows out there and one of the optimistic like groups out there. But at a certain point in time, you have to call it like you see it, and that's something we've always said that we were going to do.
I got a question for Fred Butts.
Yeah, hit it.
Fred Butts, since we so negative, give me 5 positive things that you saw that make you believe that the Falcons are going to have a better record than what they have right now. Can I just type that in now?
Okay.
5 things that you see right now that's telling you the Falcons are going to have a better record than what they have right now.
There you go. No, okay, yeah. I'm scrolling through, so we'll see if he comes up with that. Millie Mills says, just know we're about to be really good in the coming years. We just got to have some patience. And that's more or less what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
Like, I see like how Smith wants to deploy his players. I see, and I like it. We just don't have the horses to run it right now.
Right.
Same thing with Dean Pease. I see what he's trying to do.
Right.
We just don't have the horses to run it at this junction.
Right.
William Amy says, can't wait for next season, man. We got to look for defensive players in the draft. Exactly. You've got to. We have to have an infusion of talent. It's not going to come through free agency because we ain't got the money to do it. So it's going to have to be through draft picks. We are where we are right now because of the bad drafting of the last 4 or 5 years of Dimitrov.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the amount of busts that aren't here.
Yeah.
If Tack McKinley had panned out, if Vic Beasley had panned out, if Trufant and Alford had panned out, we're talking about a whole different team here.
Right.
Like, all these guys aren't on the team, and that's the problem. Like, I'm not sitting here trying to talk bad about the job that the coaching staff is doing in the front office. Heck, they were left with nothing.
Yeah, pretty much. And then you left with surprise nothings because you had no idea that Calvin Ridley was going to do what he's doing right now.
Right.
You knew he was going to lose Julio back in February. That was already put out there prior to Arthur Smith taking the job. Arthur Smith already knew that taking the job. But did he account for the fact that Calvin Ridley would come back and say that he needs to take time away from football? No, he didn't.
Right.
Oh, he had no clue that was going to happen.
Like, in the course of 6, 7 months, you lost your 2 top receiving options.
Yeah.
Like, straight up. Like, I can guarantee you that Arthur Smith, even going into it knowing that you were going to lose Jones, was thinking, I don't know, maybe I can talk him into staying. Maybe I could show him what we did with this and what we did with that, and what my plans are here and there. Maybe he'll stick around. Obviously, it didn't happen. He wanted out and he's gone. Yeah. But now you add on top of that, Calvin Ridley. Like, you think to yourself, okay, I could probably not withstand, but like weather the storm of losing Jones because I got Calvin Ridley. I'm bringing in this, beast of a guy in Kyle Pitts.
Right.
Like, you pretty much knew that was going to happen. So, maybe you felt like you were going to be able to withstand it. And then Calvin Ridley, has his issues.
Yeah.
Which, look, after what we saw with Henry Ruggs over the weekend, I hope Calvin gets himself right.
I hope so too, man. That was rough.
That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Drinking and driving 150 something miles an hour.
But many will remember years ago, Dante Stallworth, who used to play with the Dallas Cowboys, had the same similar situation.
Right.
Where he killed someone, and had, DUI or whatnot. I mean, stuff happens, man, when you in a certain headspace, man, in your life, and you hate that, that a young woman, 23 years old, loses her life to someone that's being careless out there on
Yeah,
the road.
that's
I
horrible.
definitely hope, like you said, that Calvin really is not, heading down in that
Right.
direction.
I hope
But
if he's stepping away because he needs,
yeah,
help. I'm hoping he's getting it.
yeah,
That's my biggest hope there. I'm hoping that he is seeking it, and I'm hoping that he's taking whatever advice he's getting from, the professionals. And I do key in on the word here, professionals. I hope you are seeking professional help, and I hope you get yourself right, because that means more than anything else. Um, Millie Mills says, Toby and JR, I know it's not the off season, but defensive tackle, defensive end, DeMarvin Leal, just check him out. I've seen that name batted around quite a bit. That's the Texas A&M guy, I believe. Everything I've seen, like people talking about it, he's pretty much high up there. So let's see. King 7 says, what do you guys think we need to do to get back right? Because I said we were going to depend on rookies and subpar vets to get us somewhere, which is not going to happen. So what do we need to do? It's just going to have to be it's time and patience. You have to hit on, like, basically, right, you have to hope that next year your your draft class from this year starts to really produce.
right.
I mean, it's as simple as that. And you hope that whatever vets that you bring back, sign in, whatever, pick up that scheme faster, whether it's the offensive side or defensive side. So, it's just simple as that. You just got to hope that these guys, produce. If not, in 4 or 5 years, we're going to be talking about another head coach.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. Like, I like Arthur Smith. I love what he's doing in the red zone. I love the fact that our red zone efficiency has gone up. But right now he's, having a tough time, getting there on a consistent basis. So, I would love to see right now is I would love to see, either Caleb Huntley or Quadre Olison get some more run. Like you had them all off season. I don't see why they're on the practice squad and Wayne Gallman is active. Like that doesn't make it, like there's certain things that just aren't making much sense to me. But that's outside looking in kind of deal.
I think they still feel that they can get this thing turned around at some point, but you got these next 3 games, pivotal games to do that.
Oh yeah.
You lose 2 out of these next 3 games, you need to be putting Grant and Hawkins out there as your starting safeties from here on.
Just let it roll and let them build, let them get experience.
Yeah.
Let them build. Toxic Falcon, very nice name there, buddy. Says I blame the White House Russell Gage. Russell Gage needs to step up.
Let's don't even. Let's get into Russell Gage.
Yeah. Like, man, come on, right? Like, how you just completely disappear? Like, you go 1 year from being like a consistent chain mover to the next year, like gone. Like, I don't get it. I don't know if it's just they're asking him to do stuff he's not 100% comfortable with, but best I could tell, it's not like he's still operating out of the slot.
Yeah.
Like, so it's not like they're putting him out wide and expecting him to beat a man. Like, he's still running rub routes and mesh routes and, things of that nature like he was doing last year. So I don't really understand where the disconnect is.
I don't know. I don't know, man. Right now, who was supposed to be your number 1 is not here to be your number 1. Who's supposed to be your number 2? It's not showing enough to be the number 2. You got some issues, man.
Yeah.
We're going to have to rebuild from the way it looks. We're going to have to rebuild from a skill position standpoint, this offense around Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
Because you don't know if you're bringing Patterson back next year. I mean, I hate to get into 2022, but you could bring Patterson back. You might not. You don't know.
And you also have to figure out, like, is this something that Patterson can keep up with
right
throughout an entire season? Like, can he's 30 years old. Can he handle that kind of a workload?
Yeah.
Like, he was an interesting spark plug, but that's also because people weren't expecting that.
Right.
Once defenses start, like, keying in on him, whether it's in the running back position or wide receiver position, if they're like, if it becomes a where's 84, type deal, can he still produce? That's going to be the interesting part. ATM 534 says 5 positive things. We started the zone better than we have the past season, better than we have the past 3 seasons. Arthur Smith is establishing a running game unlike Cutter. I will say this, he's at least trying it. It's not producing yet, but he's trying to establish it. And he says 3, Arthur Smith isn't stubborn and has learned from his mistakes. Possible. He doesn't seem to have made some of the same blunders that he did early on. We have improved in the red zone. I will agree with that 100%. We have improved, and he goes, and we're not playing the same soft coverage defense, and we're somewhat better on defense than the past 2 seasons. Those are all incremental, like, betters, which are definitely not trying to downplay any of those. And that's something that you hope as the season goes on, they continue to build off of. And like I said, eventually you're going to run into a game like this. I mean, the Panthers, they were off to such the hottest start that they were off to because of their defense.
Right.
So you knew you were going up against a stout defense. A stout defense that just added Stephon Gilmore.
Mm-hmm.
Back to it. And also Shaq Thompson.
Yep.
So, I mean, you just got to hope that they can, with a week of knowing that Ridley's not going to be there, they're going to have a better game plan.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. Mike O says, what's up, fellas? I'm still a ride or die Falcon fan, as we all are. Because if we weren't, I wouldn't be sitting here doing this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, anyway. So he says, I have a lot of optimism for our team in the future. We will be competing in the next 2 to 3 years. Congrats to our Braves. And that's
where I'm looking at.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Yes.
Right. Tony Wright. What's up, Tony? Glad you're in here tonight. He says, Olamide Zaccheaus is a better receiver than Marvin Hall. Plus, why not just give Christian Blake some playing time and get Frank Darby on the field and let him play? That's the thing. Now, keep in mind, guys, Marvin Hall was signed to the practice squad. He was not signed to the active roster, not as of yet. So,
right.
It's not like he's coming in. Granted, I made the joke about wide receiver 1, more or less just highlighting how thin our wide receiver room is right now. Right. But yes, I would much rather see, Zaccheaus and Frank Darby and Christian Blake, and you're going to. Like, you ain't got no choice, I think, at this point. Let's see. Superstar VFR says, Olesen is better than Davis, in my humble opinion. I would have liked to seen Olesen get more run. It must have been his pass protection that has, kept him off. I don't know. I thought he was one of the more consistent backs in the preseason. So yeah, I don't understand why he hasn't been promoted to this point. Let's see here. Millie Mills says, staying up late on Twitter reading what fans have been saying about Ridley giving him mental issues. I hope that's not the case. Like, I hope he didn't let, people on the internet bother him in that aspect. But, if that's the case, then somebody change the man's Twitter password. I don't know. Don't let him on Twitter. They vile over there on Twitter. Let's see. Antoine Wartime TV says, how y'all doing, Falcons family? Let's go. Atlanta Braves got a win for Georgia. That's right. That's something good to talk about there. William Amy says, we need a big body receiver. Next season, Russell Gage might be gone in free agency. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to be gone.
They're going to be rebuilding this thing.
They got to. They ain't got no choice, And that's not just the wide receiver room. I mean, that's the running back room. Like you said, just about all the skill positions. It's going to be interesting to see, what they end up doing. Man, I absolutely hate that here in 7 games in, we're talking about the offseason. God bless, I'm so tired of that. So tired of that.
But I mean, look, man, I think right now, I don't think we're in a bad spot to do that, JR. Look, man, look at the roster, man. We didn't trade for anybody. We didn't do a wholesale. We got what we got, man. I mean,
yeah, it's just can we figure out what
yeah.
can we do with it, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
We'll
you
see.
know, can you figure out what how you can take what you have and give these teams fits and you hope that they keep going as far as like making the improvements that they have made. As far as like the O-line took a step back when facing a better defense this week.
Yeah.
So can we make the necessary adjustments to get back to where we were? Because it's not like the Jets had a easy defensive line to go up against. Same thing with Miami. Wasn't necessarily easy defensive lines, and you were able to hold there. So, was it is it the stunts and twists that were giving you problems? All right, fine. Let's work on that kind of stuff. Oh man, mustaches bother me today. Anyway, sorry.
We just don't do well at home, man. I don't know what
Yeah, I
it's
know,
been,
right?
but at home we can't seem to win to save our lives, man. I don't know when that's going to change.
Hopefully soon.
But
I don't know.
Man, at home.
Yeah, they got to figure that part out too. Let's see. Our buddy Adam Holloway, I spoke his name and he showed up in chat. What's up, Adam? I'm glad you're in here tonight, buddy. Let's see. Okay, Antonio Holloway says, I want the Falcons to call the Pelicans and ask about Zion Williams. Oh, Lord, he can be on the D-line with Grady. Oh, that would be hilarious to see that. Let's see. Tony Wright says, JR, Toby, your thoughts on why we haven't seen Taquan Graham and Ogundeji more. But now Ogundeji's been starting with Fowler on IR. Taquan Graham was interesting because when he's been in there, he's been productive.
Yeah.
So I hope to start seeing more burn. I am right now straight up and down team youth movement. Like, put these guys in there. I want to see Taquan Graham. I want to see, full on what Ogundeji brings to the table. Like, I want to know what all these guys have, right?
But that's the thing. Dean Pease fought against that. I mean, he said they're not trying to do that right now. They're trying to make the playoffs. Now, hey, listen, if you believe you can get there with the team you got, then give it all you got and go for it. Now, I just don't. You could squeak in 6 or 7 spot. But.
Well, look, in a way, they're not in unfamiliar territory of the coaching staff, in a sense.
Right.
Because they're the run that sparked Tennessee, they were in the same spot.
Yep, same spot.
And now, granted, the difference is you went from Mariota to Tannehill, and that was that passing game is what sparked everything. I don't see any kind of a switch like that's going to happen to spark a run per se. But
the other difference was some of them guys from 2018 that played the DNP defense played in that 2019 defense. So they didn't have much of an issue there with guys learning the scheme because they knew it.
Right. So yeah, we'll see what the rest of this year holds. What I'm looking for now is, like I said, improvement, weekly improvement. I want to see the O-line improve. I want to see, Pitts' game expand. With Calvin Ridley being out, we don't know how long. Like, you ain't got much of a choice. You're going to have to. Like Ghost Pepper says, once Pitts was eliminated from the game plan, not a single wide receiver stepped up. Line of play didn't help matters either. With Ridley out, Gage is going to have to step up the way he stepped up last season. That's the thing. It's like these guys, in that wide receiver room are going to have to step up. Straight up and down. Whether it's a Darby or whether it's a Zacchaeus, whoever, somebody's going to need. It can't be just laid on the shoulders of Pitts. Because I don't care how good you are, you can be eliminated from a game plan. I could take one
Okay.
player away.
Yeah.
Straight up. Like, I could take one player away.
They got to find somebody to step up, man.
Right.
And I don't know who that person is going to be, but right now, I mean, the number 1 and number 2 spot is open.
Oh, yeah.
Wide open.
Adam Holloway says the run defense keeping me up at night, man. To me, it would be smart to try to play a big set, which is what we were talking about earlier. Get feature Grady, Pennell at nose tackle, Bullard or Graham at defensive end, and having Ogundeji and JTM at outside linebacker. Exactly. Like right now, you like without Fowler in there, you don't have a consistent pass rush. And the guys that you have in there trying to stop the run, like they're not able to keep Foye and Dion clean.
Right.
If you're going to run these smaller linebackers, you've got to have a bigger line in front of them to keep them clean. And right now, Tyler Davidson and Grady Jarrett, as much as we love Grady is a penetrating 3-tech.
Right. And he can't play that because he don't have nobody to allow him to get back there. I mean, they concentrating on Grady Jarrett because they don't have anybody else that's a threat, just like on the offensive side of the ball.
Exactly. It is, it is a, what am I trying to say here? It is a clear thing to me that you need to bring in some of these bigger guys. Like you've brought them on the practice squad. They've been in the, they've been in your building now for a couple weeks. They've been in the organization, so now it's time. Like you've already letting, Mike Pennell get a little bit of run. He can't be playing no worse than Davison at this point.
Apparently he must be because they won't play the guy. So
I think that's the whole deal with, with Pease and his this is his stubbornness, I guess. He's 70-something years old, and I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. Tony Rice says, I'm starting to think that Dean Pease has the Buddy Ryan philosophy about playing or starting rookies. Ryan's philosophy was rookies will get you beat. So, and it seems like that's what it is. It seems like he doesn't want to trust, rookies. He wants you to be able to show it on a consistent basis and practice before you get out there. Which you can tell because he's constantly said, he don't want to put guys in position that he doesn't think they're comfortable with.
Right.
And so that makes sense as far as that goes. Let's see. All right, Floyd Donnelly says, "What's up? What's going on, Floyd?"
What's up, Floyd?
He says Darby will. I guess he's trying to pump up Darby. So somebody needs to step up on the wide receiver. It's your time to shine. Hopefully, that's the whole point. Hopefully you will. Let's see here. Keon Mitchell says Falcons going to eliminate players this. Falcons are going to eliminate players this offseason like the Squid Games. I get it, Squid Games. I don't know what Squid Games is. I don't watch a ton of TV, but I know it's hot right now. Whatever it is, I see it popping up everywhere. So it must be some kind of like Saw or something like that. Millie Mills says, "Can Darby run routes correctly? Because all I see we drafted was the down the field catches, and that's it. We need a good possession wide receiver." I think Tajay Sharp is showing himself to be reliable in that aspect, which is good. If he can keep that way, if he can keep that up. Millie Mills says there's no way Sharp gets more in the field than Darby if he was really that good. I mean,
he is right now.
Yeah, I must say he was. What did I say? He was the leading wide receiver with.
He was having a good day.
58 yards. I mean,
he wasn't scoring.
Huh?
He wasn't scoring, but he was having a good day.
Yeah, I mean, he was averaging 11.6 yards a target. And then, Cordell Patterson right behind him with 7.4. I mean, Cordell, consistently is your consistent player.
Right.
And to me, as much as I've enjoyed it, that's still kind of a problem.
Yeah.
Like a guy who should be more or less a gadget player is become like almost the focal point of your offense.
He has.
And
He
that's
got
scary.
7 touchdowns.
Right.
7.
Like, I don't think that that's something that can continue. You know, maybe I'm being a little too pessimistic on that aspect, but that's worrisome to me. Somebody put up here earlier, see if I can scroll back up and see if I can find it. It was talking about our number one. Number 1 was Gage. Number 2 was Pitt. I don't know. Anyway, they had Lee Smith as number 4, and that made me chuckle. Like, I ain't trying to count on Lee Smith for targets, man. Like, if he gets a few here and there, that's fine. But, man, I am not trying to count on Lee Smith. I want him blocking, and that's it. Chris Jameson says Sharp has become our third down target. Exactly. He's become that slant guy who can, like, he's that Russell Gage from last year.
Yeah.
Tony Wright was asking about Kendall Sheffield. I ain't heard much about him. He said, I'll say this, Kendall Sheffield and Dante Fowler will not be back in Atlanta in 2022. Yeah, I don't think so. Because, I mean, you're going to have to free up cap space. So, it's going to be real interesting to see what 2022's team looks like. Because right now, what we have, the 2021 version, is a Band-Aid at best. Straight up. What do you guys think about them making a trade for Kyle Fuller if they would? I would have liked to have seen them do something. Trade deadline's coming past, so there is no trades coming.
No more trades now. It might be some cuts.
Yeah, what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
I mean, unless
that's it.
Like, you've had some guys like Deshaun Jackson that got waived.
Yeah.
Another like somewhat decent name got waived. I'm trying to remember who it was now, but like, you might see some stuff like that. But at this point, it is what it is, you know?
Yeah.
Well, man, we have bumped up over an hour, my friend.
Wow.
We did it once again. All I have to say is, man, I'm so glad that the Braves were able to close it out.
Yeah.
And we at least have some good feelings.
Yes.
The Hawks are looking pretty good to begin with, so maybe that's something else that we can, cheer for. I mean, the University of Georgia is looking real good.
Yeah, Georgia might be the next in line.
Right. So, if they keep it up, maybe we could talk about that for a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
But I have to say, until I see some consistency, like right now, what you see is what you get with the Falcons. Yep. If they go up against a, average defense, the offense will probably look pretty good. But against some of the better defensive lines, it's probably not going to do well this year, I don't think. But hey, I would love to be wrong.
I would too.
Millie Mills is asking, does Mike Davis come back next year? I don't know, dude. At this point,
he signed through the next year, isn't it? Like got a 2-year deal.
Yeah, 2 or 3 year deal. But I think
that he'll be back.
Yeah, I think it's one of those deals that we could get out of without costing us much of anything.
Right.
But yeah, so who knows? We'll see. I would love to see them draft a running back myself.
Yeah.
I was really hoping they were going to this year, but they didn't. But anyway, all right. Yeah. So that's it for us here. Catch us again on Friday as we preview the Aints game, which, we'll figure out. Bless you, sir. Hopefully, right. Hopefully it'll be, we'll see how that stream goes on Friday. Maybe we'll have some decent news. Maybe we'll have something good to talk about. But as always, you can follow me on Twitter. Shout out to Woon Carter, who decided to follow me today. That was cool. Glad to see you there, Woon. You can catch me on Twitter. I'm at Grim1128, GRIMM1128. Toby?
OBD 1991.
Hey, and as we have been kind of saying, let's just win, yo. That's all we're looking for. Just win. Peace.